There is a strange feeling many people share today, even if they can't quite put it into words. It's the feeling of working harder every year, yet life somehow feels heavier, not easier. Your salary goes up, but owning a home feels further away. You manage to save some money, yet the sense of security never really arrives. And while you are struggling just to stay in place, somewhere else in the world, a very small group of people is getting richer at a pace that feels almost unreal. Not because they work 100 times harder, not because they are 1,000 times smarter, but because they are standing in a very different position inside the same machine. That machine is called debt. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Most of the money in modern society does not exist beforehand. It is not printed first. It is not saved by someone else and then handed to you. It only comes into existence when a debt is created. When you take out a mortgage to buy a house, the bank does not go into a vault and take out cash. They simply type numbers into your account. At that exact moment, two things appear at the same time: money and debt. They are inseparable. No debt means no new money. Now, let's zoom out. Imagine a government needs money. Not for anything exotic, just to build roads, pay salaries, fund projects, or simply refinance old debt. They don't wait until taxpayers have saved enough. They don't need money in advance. They do something very simple. They issue government bonds. In plain language, they say, "Lend us money today, and we promise to pay you back later with interest." Who buys these bonds? Banks, investment funds, central banks. Here is the part almost no one is ever taught. When a bank buys government bonds, it does not use existing money. It simply credits the government's account with newly created numbers. Money is created. Debt is recorded. The government now has spending power. The bank now owns an interest-bearing claim. The government spends that money. It pays contractors, companies, workers. That money flows into the economy. Businesses deposit it into banks. Banks see more money in the system and do what banks do best. They lend even more. People borrow to buy homes, cars, and everyday consumption. Companies borrow to expand, invest, or buy back shares. One original debt creates multiple layers of new debt. The entire system depends on just one assumption: tomorrow must be better than today. If growth slows, if interest rates rise, if confidence weakens, the machine starts to creak. That $317 trillion does not sit in a vault. It lives in promises about the future. Governments owe money. Corporations owe money. Households owe money. But here is the paradox. We are both the debtors and the creditors. You borrow from a bank to buy a home. You are a debtor. Your pension fund buys government bonds. You are a creditor. You work, pay taxes, governments pay interest, money flows back into the financial system, and eventually back to you. A closed loop. No one is truly outside of it. Not the hardest worker, not the most disciplined saver. The most comfortable people are those who can borrow cheaply, for long periods of time, and use that borrowed money to buy assets that rise faster than their interest costs. They don't fear debt. They use it as leverage. The most vulnerable people are those with fixed incomes, consumer debt, no appreciating assets, and monthly repayments tied directly to their time and labor. They don't use debt to create. They use debt to survive, and they get stuck. When debt grows faster than income, the system only has three exits. The first is inflation. Money loses value, debt becomes lighter on paper, but daily life becomes harder. The second is recession. Businesses fail, unemployment rises, social tension increases. The third is a debt crisis. Defaults, bailouts, restructuring, and ordinary people pay the price. There is no painless scenario, only less painful ones.
Not central banks, not political elites. The cost is paid by those who do not understand how the system works. Those who rely solely on labor, those who believe that working harder is always enough. They are trapped in a loop. Work, consume, borrow, repay, work again. Not because they are lazy, but because the system needs them exactly there. Yes, but not through shortcuts or overnight wealth. It starts with understanding where money comes from, how debt actually works, avoiding debt that only fuels consumption, using debt only when it creates assets, accumulating things that cannot be endlessly printed, increasing your own ability to create value. The goal is not to reach the top. The goal is to avoid being crushed when the system shakes. $317 trillion in global debt is not an accident. It is the logical outcome of how the modern world operates. The only real question is this: when the machine slows down, where are you standing inside it? If you understand the system, you have choices. If you don't, you will pay on behalf of others.